After refusing to show proof of vaccination at a Cheesecake Factory in Queens, a group of 30+ anti-vaxxers stormed past the hosts and decided to stage a sit-in protest inside the Cheesecake Factory. We have some video footage of this event. Let's watch.
We're here, and we just kind of sat ourselves at Cheesecake Factory. You know, they had all these tables empty. We sat ourselves. We're a little thirsty. We kind of felt like a nightcap after our meal. We all had a satisfying meal, right, Ray? What Ray got was kind of nasty. I don't know. Some of the food in the food court was kind of nasty, but we need a nightcap to wash it down. So we can't. No, it is, Dylan. Don't worry. I thought this was America. No, Dylan, it is. Don't worry. It still is. We got this.
I'm so fed up with anyone, not just anti-vaxxers. It includes anti-maskers. Anyone who makes being in the service industry even more difficult than it needs to be right now. I have no compassion, empathy, or patience for these people. Now, this happened after the governor of New York, put out a mandate. So the protest came a day after a new policy from Governor Kathy Hochul and the state's Department of Health went into effect. The new policy requires masks to be worn inside unless a business requires patients to show proof of vaccination. The protest also comes as around 2,900 New Yorkers are testing positive for COVID-19 on a 7-day average. And as we know, the new variant is highly contagious and is rapidly spreading across the country. So, encouraging people to wear masks and having a vaccine mandate, I think makes a lot of sense in terms of wanting to save people's lives. We just passed an 800,000 death
confirmed. It's
confirmed
likely
COVID death.
Thousands more than that.
But yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. And I also read a story about how there are 5 million children in this country who are now orphaned as a result of their parents dying from the pandemic. It is just absolutely devastating. But you know what? It's not about all those victims. It's about these clowns who want to make a show and put their foot down at a Cheesecake Factory in Queens.
The movement should be "Make America a Tale of Two Cities Again." But look, we also understand, a movement that hasn't gotten its due and that anger builds up, and the governor does something like this and the Department of Health, and it just angers you, and so obviously eventually you have to take it out on the 16-year-old hostess at a Cheesecake Factory. Obviously, that's what you should do. Those Cheesecake Factory waiters have been making below minimum wage for too long, and now they're gonna get an earful. No, I worked in the service industry for years and years as a busboy, as a bartender. I waited tables for years, and thankfully it was before a lot of this stuff. Like, you didn't have this thing, which you saw. I don't know who the guy is that did that video, but you can hear in his voice the sociological phenomenon of a person filming something or live streaming instantly thinking that they're far cleverer than they are. And I understand some of you watching this are thinking glass houses, and I get it. But every single one of those people, he's like, and I think we need a nightcap. That's why we're gonna take this out on people that have nothing to do with it. Even going to the CEO's house of Cheesecake, that person doesn't have anything to do with it. But the waiters have nothing at all to do with it. We're just such a fundamentally antisocial country. We were awful in 2019, and since 2020, we've just gotten worse.
I mean, isn't this so illustrative of the broader picture, which is people are angry, and so they take their anger out on the powerless,
on whoever's close.
Yeah, exactly. So find the least, the people with the least power, and make their lives a lot more difficult because you are a petulant child who can't handle dealing with rules that are just meant to keep people safe, meant to keep people alive. You don't like the idea of getting vaccinated? Fine, you're not entitled to be served at any restaurant. You're not the king of the universe, you're not the queen of the universe, you don't own the country, you're not entitled to whatever you want, whenever you want, and how you want it. And that's the other part of this that blows my mind. In every context you see it. the thing that's like driving me crazy right now is that Alex Jones just got found guilty of defamation. Okay, that means that our government was justified in punishing him for his speech, right? The Constitution indicates that your First Amendment right, that indicates that you have free speech, but there are some limitations. Defamation happens to be one of those limitations, which means that in these like suits filed against Alex Jones, the government can punish him through the justice system, and that is what has happened. He has been found guilty of defamation. I bring that up because people are like, oh, he was banned on Twitter. He was banned on Twitter. It's the same thing as like Haas getting banned from Twitch for using the word cracker. No, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, there are people who care about free speech. They're activists, they work at the ACLU, they're lawyers and things like that. Every single person whose political identity is that they're on social media and supposedly care about the First Amendment do not. They care about their access to lucrative speaking engagements. They care about branding themselves as someone who has been canceled, that's it. And it could not be any more obvious than the first time someone they don't agree with politically has their free speech rights infringed on in some way, because they can't even in service of their own con, pretend to care about anyone that's not exactly like them.
Yeah, and
free speech isn't for regular people, it's for right wingers with Substacks or college speaking tours.
Exactly, and look, I bring up Alex Jones in the context of this Cheesecake Factory story because it's the same entitlement. Like the entitlement of, I get to direct harassment, death threats, and awful members of my audience toward the families whose children were gunned down at Sandy Hook, okay? I'm entitled to that, except you're not, okay? Yeah. That is not protected speech, period. And what these clowns are doing at the Cheesecake Factory, they're not entitled to doing, they're not entitled to being served. If you don't like it, you don't wanna get vaccinated, do you boo, don't get vaccinated, but sit your ass at home and stop crying.
Yeah.
Just stop crying.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.